Today's guest is Tomer Warschauer Nuni from Israel. Tomer is a veteran blockchain strategist and digital entrepreneur with over 20 years in tech and 2 successful exits. Active in crypto since 2016, he has guided dozens of token launches, driving business development, tokenomics design, liquidity planning, market maker alignment, and treasury raises that collectively exceed $100 million. Currently, Tomer is an executive at Kima Network, investment director at ChainGPT Labs, and founder of PRIM3 Capital.
Well, I'm investment director of Prime Ventures and ChainGPT Labs, and I'm also on the day-to-day job. I'm a CMO and late founder to Kima Network.
Mm-hmm. So basically you're connecting traditional finance with decentralized system.
Correct. We are creating the missing link between the traditional finance world and the decentralized financial world. The only thing that basically disables Web3 from just becoming the web for so many years.
You work with Mastercard, but you still operate in DeFi. How hard is it to find a right way to speak with them? Because it's like centralized systems, and how do you find like the same language, let's say?
Great question. So indeed, we have this identity crisis issue all the time, because a step back, when I joined Kima at first, I saw Kima as an investment opportunity. I met the team as an angel investor. Eventually, I decided to invest in the company, and I was so amazed by the solution that I didn't even think that something like this can exist. I sat with the founder for 5 hours just speaking about technology, and at the end of it, they told me, listen, we don't know how to explain what we're doing, but seems like you kind of understand what we do. Do you want to join as a late founder and be the CMO? Told them, sure. And that's how I found myself here, because they had this exact problem. How do you speak with banks and with governments, with PayPal, with Stripe, with Mastercard, with Visa, while being a blockchain project? So eventually we solved it by creating 2 faces for the same project. We have Kima.finance, which is the more nice, suited, fintechy language.
Boomers workers.
Boomers, for the boomers. And we have the Kima.network, which is the problematic child, of the same thing, which basically it's the same thing, but just different language. Kima Network speaks to the DeFi protocols, to the validator node operators, to the token speculators. And Kima Finance speaks to the governments, to the banks, to the Mastercards, to the very, very heavy, traditional, conservative financial world. So that's how we solved it. We solved it by separating the faces of the same child.
Okay, do you have any trend in mind which is completely and fundamentally wrong?
I don't want people to hate me, so but it must be said. So I think that the AI agents trend is completely exaggerated already. But it happens every time. It's like every time there's like a real something that is revolutionary and starting, to gain attention and money, you see that more and more projects, are starting to join that party right away. Thing with crypto is that raising money in a bull run or for a trend is rather easy compared to the centralized world. In the Web 2 world, you would probably need to have a product, have traction, have proven technology, go through DD, have some VCs backing you, have some KPIs, users, something.
Mm-hmm.
On the crypto world, on blockchain, you just need a pitch deck with a few nice pictures, and a 3D cool picture of a robot, and here you are, you're in the AI agent realm. Happens to be that I'm invested in about 20 projects in the AI world, and some of them are really creating, AI agent stuff like heavy lifting technology, working with Anthropic, working with OpenAI and stuff that is really AI. But on the other hand, you see also kids that I know that were having a meme coin project, and 2 years ago they were in the NFT project. Now we're doing a big AI project, and they barely know how to write HTML for a simple website. So I think that it's completely already exaggerated, the valuations that we see today for these things, and the market is completely flooded with bullshit, pardon my French. And I think that this trend, also needs serious cleaning in order to go back to the roots and to leave the ground for the real builders.
Absolutely true. Like, we've literally back from Dubai, from Token 2049, and also we've been to some conferences in London, and it seems like all NFT and ICO back in the past just changed their names, idea, and they just became AI assistants, etc. Back to AI and blockchain topics. Let's speak about how everyone's slapping AI into their blockchain projects. But what's the possibility that AI will substitute blockchain in particular projects?
So chances are most likely very low. Building stuff that is real AI with in an environment that's completely chaotic and somewhat fragile and very volatile, like blockchains, because it's like a one-way street, right? When you send something on the blockchain, it's one way, and there's no going back if we made a mistake. It's like, oh my God, it's already there. It's like firing a rocket when you send a transaction on the blockchain. It's there and it's done.
Mm-hmm.
If I send you money by mistake to your bank, you can call back, guys, wait, stop, wait, a mistake, and they stop. Or the other bank, I'm telling you, guys, we don't know what it is, bring it back, and they bring it back. Blockchains are hard, and when you create AI stuff like artificial intelligence, and agents who can really take decisions about what to do according to what happened in the real world or on the blockchain world, it's very, very risky and very, very hard to create something that would really work properly.
Mm-hmm.
Many are using it as buzzwords, and at best they have some kind of a stupid connection to OpenAI API. They created some kind of a workflow, and suddenly they have an agent and it's AI, and they built a Twitter, opened the Twitter page for it, and they have a gold mark. And people are just running to throw money at it.
Mm-hmm.
But to build real AI technologies on blockchains and to give AI the ability to manage and completely be autonomous as an agent to execute transactions on blockchains, this is a real challenge. And I'm afraid that most of the builders, at least that I see, that are coming to these realms, will fail. And it's not because they are building, without teams who are smart enough. It's because they do not understand, most of them, the real need, or if there is even some kind of a need of an existence to an AI-based solution like they're building on the blockchains.
Just recently read a story, hilarious story actually, about how one guy decided to buy some drugs in the darknet using one of those dark websites for drugs, and he just accidentally pressed the button to buy, and that was obviously connected to crypto wallet and crypto system for buying, and he accidentally, because of mistaking the code, he got 1 or 2 bitcoins. That was I don't know, maybe 6 years ago, long time ago, and he just he didn't have any bitcoins on his wallet, so he understood that something's off, and he just started to press this button again and again, and like all bitcoins was transferred from that account, from darknet, to his account, and he just disappeared. And like the guys who owned this website, they couldn't do nothing because of like it's illegal. They sold drugs. So the guy, it was Chinese guy or something, so he got like around 5 billions.
So I know the story about this guy that happened to him. Basically, it was indeed, this Asian guy, and he find a way to trick. Basically, so that like he sends $1 and gets two every time that he does, due to a failure in their system. So he found a failure in their centralized system. The Bitcoin was just used as ledger, but the centralized system that was managing the wallets had a failure in it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the way that he found a way to exploit it. And by the way, funny story is that the owner of the website found out who he was and found out about it. And, we asked him, if I'm not mistaken, to help him understand how he's doing it.
Yeah.
And he told him, and they even gave him, like, as a present, they gave him, like, I think it was like 2, 3 or something Bitcoins, for helping them. And then, of course, stopped and move on. But these are two, different, very scary edge cases, of how to use the power of the blockchain, back in the day to do these things, So if you steal from a thief, is it theft? I don't know, but guess that it was interesting days back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, investors, they see everything. By the way, back in time, I had a startup. It was like NFT/hardware startup. So we basically made a small screens. It was a necklace with a small screen where you can put your NFT if you own it. Then when the market went down, we just decided to add AI to this thing. But it didn't work.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your startup, but it's a thing that happens to many. I have projects that I've invested in 21, in 2020, in 22. Throughout, they went through the previous bull into the bear, and they were able to raise money, by awesome, valuations for them back in the day. And now basically people do not have any interest in them because just technology, advanced, and they were too late to the party. And I see them, jumping into advisory calls with me these days. Now they don't do it, of course, because I stopped them, but asking how can they put AI in their solution to attract funding and interest again. So, sometimes projects feel like they're forced in order to survive, to adapt and to evolve to the trend in order to still be relevant to the market. But I'm thinking that if your solution was good in 21 and 22 and there was justification for it to exist, and now you reach to an age, the different trends are ruling the market, but you can refine a bit more your solution and make it relevant to the current trends and the current need of the market, do it without throwing, the stupid word AI and the word agent in it. It's like sometimes I'm seeing like decks of projects that sounds to me like I'm reading a joke. I'm seeing the project, and then I'm saying okay, and the next slide would be AI, and then the next slide is RWA, and then the next slide is deepen. And I'm like, what did you guys do here? You're trying to decentralize taxis in Dubai. How are you throwing all of these words into this thing? So, of course, we call bullshit on these, and I pass on them. But I also understand, and it's sad a bit, to understand and to realize why they're feeling that they're forced to do it. At the end of the day, we're a market, of trends. People invest, in trends, and they're hoping to get their next 100 and 1000x, and they just keep on throwing money at these things. And this is why, also, if we're already touching it a bit, not so many people are making that amount of money as they were expecting to do in the blockchain, and most likely are losing money because they are following with their investments trends and believing to things that they cannot even analyze and understand if they're needed or not in this ecosystem and space.
I see. Yeah, it's sadly, but it's true. But if we touch the topic about pitch decks, as an investor, could you tell us the best structure of the pitch deck?
Yeah.
I know it should be short, like up to 10, 15 slides, and it should be kind of short as an elevator speech. So tell me the main structure which you need to follow to be noticed by investor.
So I'm going to give you guys a gift if you guys do not know it yet, because I'm old and you guys are young. Anyways, we were getting to it by asking about the pitch and how to create the best pitch possible and the gift. So many years ago, I saw a TED Talk by Simon Sinek that maybe you guys have heard of. And it's called Start With Why. He created something that is called the golden circle. He mind hacked the way that Apple are making products that we all know and use sound like they're something super innovative and something that we must have, right? Like FaceTime. That's just video calls, guys, right? That we had since forever, even before Skype.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly it became a thing, FaceTime me. And what are you guys talking about? We had it for years, but suddenly it's special. So he said that they're doing it by why, how, and what. So first of all, they present the problem. So present the problem. Once I understand that there's a problem, I am open to relate to a solution that will be presented. And then after the why, I go to the how. So still I'm not showing you what I did, but I'm telling you the problem, how the problem can be solved. And then you will be, it can be solved this way. And then I'm showing you the what I've created. And then I took you for, there's a problem. It can be solved that way. Oh my God, they did this. So it's the logical storytelling, the journey that they take you to relate to what they've created. So I'm recommending to every entrepreneur out there, they're building pitch deck, blurbs, executive summaries, and whatever they do, to follow Simon Sinek's golden circle. It just works very well.
That's a good advice. Thank you. And does it include financial model?
So, of course, if you're presenting it to VCs and angels, don't go too deeply into the tech. It needs to make sense that you guys know what you're talking about. The investors needs to understand the solution and how it operates, but don't get too technical with it, because they will probably look at it and will be like, what are we looking at?
Mm-hmm.
And then they start getting bored. Token utility, of course, is a must. If you're creating a token, I know it's going to be hard for most, but unfortunately, it is required. Create a token utility that will present why the token is needed. And don't tell me governance. I don't want to see anyone showing me and telling me governance and a DAO. Real utility. If no real utility, everybody will end up dumping your token because there will be not enough demand for the token, not enough demand. The graph will look like a slide in a water park.
Okay, let's talk about stablecoins and who manipulate stablecoins nowadays.
Stablecoins at the moment are, so we have many issuers of the stablecoins nowadays. Of course, the biggest ones that we all know are Tether with USDT. We have We have a Circle USDC. We have a MakerDAO with USDS and DAI and the rest of these. And I don't think that stablecoins are being manipulated, but as stablecoins are being used as a tool to manipulate the markets. So something interesting is happening for a while now, since beginning of February in our industry. We all know that we had like legendary crashes, that we have never had in the industry so far, and we've been through a few cycles. I've been around, and I'm also a trader, 14 years, like 3 years horribly and then professionally. After I lost everything and had to earn it back, I became a professional trader. And I've been through many cycles in the stock markets, of course, and in crypto markets. And
ICO.
Yeah, the ICO era, of course, and through all of the evolutions of all of the coins and all of the ways to raise money here. And stable coins are something very, very unique in our ecosystem, because stable coins are the only real thing that we have in the ecosystem as an asset. It's the only big RWA asset that we have, right? Yeah. For a stablecoin issuer to mint a new stablecoin, there needs to come money from the outside into their bank, and then they mint a new coin.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to withdraw the USDT, for example, or USDC or whatever, you are basically sending your tokens to the issuer. The issuer burns them and sends you real money against the stablecoins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to affect assets in this industry, in this niche of stablecoins, is by burning or minting real world assets into these stablecoin assets, the crypto assets. Now, this is where this thing gets a little bit weird, because not many people are thinking about it. At the moment, we have $225-ish billion, real dollars, on the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
That's the market cap of all of the stable coins. About 225 billion. Now,
Not trillions, billions.
billion.
Okay.
That's it. Billion.
Not very much.
Not very much. $225 billion. And now everyone will be like, this is a joke. It's very small.
Yeah.
Very small. Now, the whole ecosystem, the whole crypto industry is at the moment valued at $3 trillion. If you will look, and we're seeing these awful headlines all the time. Crypto industry wipes out $500 billion in 24 hours. Crypto industry losing 250 billion in less than 2 hours. 60 billion liquidated in the market in less than 15 minutes, and all of these stupid headlines. Now, the truth is that the industry do not really lose the money. The $225 billion that we have there in stablecoins are still on the blockchain. We lose the money when they are being withdrawn outside to the fiat world,
Through
right?
stable coins. Exactly.
Stable coins turning into fiat.
Mm-hmm.
But what does change? You see, if you will create a breakdown, you will go to CoinMarketCap, you will click at the 3 trillion number up there. You will see that underneath the market cap, there's a tiny button says breakdown. You click on the breakdown, and then you see how the assets are actually being distributed. And you see that the value of Bitcoin is 1.9 trillion or something. Then you have ETH for something billions. And then you have the altcoins that is basically all the rest of the tokens in the industry. of another hundreds of trillions, a few hundreds of trillions. Now, the way to affect the value, now this is the point that I need you with me. The only way to affect the value of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or the altcoins is by selling them for stablecoins.
Mm-hmm.
If people will start selling their Bitcoin for stablecoins, Bitcoin will go from 98 to $75,000. But the dollar always remains a dollar, right? The dollar's value did not lose anything. The $1 still remained $1. It can just buy more or less Bitcoins or more or less ETH or more or less altcoins.
But the correlation between altcoins and Bitcoin is usually goes same way.
So this is something that depends if we're in a Bitcoin season or the altcoin season, because Bitcoin tends to serve as a safe haven for investors. So because it's less volatile, which is crazy because it's very volatile, but less volatile than the rest of the circus we're having here, right? Then investors are running to Bitcoin, hiding inside it. And then when the markets are picking up, they're going outside of Bitcoin into the rest of the riskier assets because they're taking more risks. This way we have the Bitcoin season, then it's warming up towards the altcoin season. But the way to affect them is with the stablecoins. So markets at the moment broke everything we could have thought of in terms of technicals and sentiment, which was completely mind-blowing because it broke all of the assumptions of all of the analysts. The technicals were looking at the charts, reading the map, and saw that, okay, if this, then that, if not, then this, because we have a history of so many years, and then it broke all of them. And the sentiment analysts, as I am, went over the sentiment, did all the analysis, and then said, okay, it must be that now, because there's nowhere else to go. That's how finance works. And then it broke it also. And then we understood that markets are being manipulated. Going back to the stablecoins. So the stablecoins, the dollar remained a dollar. It's still worth $1. But the Bitcoin is worth less dollars now, and the ETH is worth less dollars now, and the Solana and the rest worth less dollars now. Do you agree with me that if I will sell $50 billion worth of Bitcoin in a very short term, I'm going to crash the price so hard that maybe it will reach from where it is now to $30,000, $40,000 a piece?
Yes, possible.
Possible, because even though the asset market cap is shown as $1.9 trillion, still there's not enough liquidity to support that value, because the liquidity is supported by stable coins. So if I'm going to take so much liquidity out of the market and to add so much supply, I'm going to crash the industry. And I only need $50 billion out of an industry that is valued at $3 trillion, because all of the assets we have in the industry rely on the balance of these $225 billion of stablecoins, which is a joke. When the market crashed, I started exploring something. After everything crashed, like all the technicals crashed and all the sentiment crashed, I started to see how it can be that we're still in this situation, how we don't go up. And then I saw something very strange. If you go into the breakdown of the total value locked in the industry, you see that all the assets lost their value, meaning they're being sold and then they lose value. But the stable coins were rising. The volume of stable coins that exist on chain were rising, meaning that even though these assets were being sold, new money was entering all the time into the ecosystem. As a matter of fact, since that correction that we dropped so hard, we grew about 10 or 12% already in the amount of stablecoins that we have.
Where we can see these graphics?
If you go to CoinMarketCap, you will click on the market cap on top. You will see the trillion. It says 3 trillion. Click that number. And then you will get to a page with breakdowns of all of the industry scope, sentiment, and everything. And then you will click on the total value locked of the whole industry. You will click on breakdown.
Where is it?
And this is where you will see it. So, for the last month and a half, something very strange was happening. That, by the way, just changed completely in the last 2 weeks, which is a good thing for all of us.
What happened?
It was always stables who were green alone, and the rest were red, meaning that someone is selling the assets, although new money is entering.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see money is entering, you're saying, okay, they're entering with money to buy assets. How can it be that the assets are still going down, even though the amount of actual money is growing? And then I realized it. When you are short selling an asset, you need to provide collateral. So someone will lend you the asset so you will be able to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that the hands who rock the cradle are injecting new money, stablecoins, to probably the exchanges. But instead of buying, they use it as collateral to sell the assets.
Who does that?
The big money lords, not me.
BlackRock?
I don't know. I'm not even sure if they're that big. But, the forces that be, that sets the tone of the financial world
Mm-hmm.
are the ones who are doing it, because new money enters and the assets are going down. The only way to justify it is if it's new money is entering in order to provide collateral to sell the assets. So they crash the market. And now, with the profits that they made by shorting, they're using the money that the industry lost to them from these short sales to buy the assets back up and buy pennies over the dollar what the industry sold them during the crash.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Interesting.
now you will see that for the last 2 weeks, it's the first 2 weeks that other assets are green at the same time that stable coins are green. So now it's the only shift in the trend that we're seeing for a very long time, that new money is entering and the value of the assets is rising, meaning that now we're in a true recovery phase that we're waiting for a very long time. It's like, not a financial advice, DYOR, etc. But for me, this was the first time that I got confirmation that the trends are shifting and real recovery is on the way through stablecoin balance.
So, we've had Terra, we've had FTX, we still have SEC, SEC. What do you think is the next threat for the market?
Oh, great question. I wish I had an exact answer.
I think it's something with AI. It should be something with AI.
Well, I don't really know, but I would say that it would probably be something that is related to another unbalanced and uncalculated risk taken by some big individuals in the industry on the back of the small people, all of us, the participants of the industry. Usually, these crashes are coming if we're saying that, a stable coin was not really a stable coin, like in Luna, because we let some never tested way to create an algorithmic stable coin on behalf of all of us. And manipulation was there also between us, and it's conversation for another day. And then we have FTX, with the SBF taking risks, on our behalf. Then if I need to get, of course, we cannot forget Celsius, who also did the same thing with people's money. Then I'd say that probably the risk lies with one of these big players in the industry who are holding too much assets in a way that is not transparent enough, that will probably cause some kind of a crash due to unregulated, unseen, very bad decision that they made with our money. It almost happened with Bybit, like when they lost $1.85 billion in ETH, which was, the biggest theft in the history, of the blockchain. And,
Did they find who did it?
Yeah, they found who did it. Yeah, North Koreans. It was North Korean.
No way.
Yeah, North Korean hackers were doing it. When they saw, where they liquidate, and they just kind of lost the money, and the exchanges and everyone were kind of bailing them out of it, with the loans, so the industry will not go into a death spiral. Although it did took us into some kind of a spiral. It almost happened, but it was kind of stabilized. But guys, I think that we went from that hack 50% off and down with the ETH, at the all-time low that we reached in this cycle, which was very violent. So almost a crash, but maybe many mini crashes that happened through a time.
I'm just curious how did they know about how blockchain works in North Korea?
Ah, wow. So you will be amazed, but actually they're one of the most experienced and vicious and smartest hacker team in the world. Well, they do have access, to the information in the world, and they're just very smart and well-trained people. I don't know who they exactly are, but if you look online, you will see that there's probably governmental trained team or backed team, that know exactly what to do, and they've created a scam mixed with a hack that was very, very well made in order to trick all of the signers, to sign a transaction that will give them full control over their multi-sig wallets. So it was made in a very, very smart way, the whole hack from A to Z. And funny thing is, they didn't even need to hack one smart contract there. They just needed to scam. They created a very well-made scam on the multi-sig wallet stream.
Is volatility good for national reserves, as he wants to make BTC a reserve coin? What if he's trying to make a recession of the whole economy to dump a Bitcoin price to make a reserves full?
So it was also, something that, I saw people saying, they're dumping the price of Bitcoin to buy it for cheap, and build a reserve. And then, you can always... Let's look at the markets from a bird's eye view. So look at a company like Apple or Nvidia or Facebook. Some of the companies that are being traded in the American Stock Exchange, they're traded at 3 billion, 5 billion, 3 trillion, 5 trillion, 2 trillion dollars. The whole crypto market, the whole industry is $3 trillion at the moment, which is kind of a joke. Do we understand that Google, the company that we sit in their campus today having this podcast, is 1.5 times more valuable in actual money than the whole crypto industry, the whole Bitcoins and the whole Ethereum and the whole Solana and all the tokens? One company, the American stock market, holds probably, 10 or a dozen companies that are worth over $1 trillion nowadays. So I don't think that they need, the American empire doesn't need to manipulate, the market in order to dump the price of Bitcoin to collect it for cheap. They probably do need, though, looking for a long-term view, to start collecting it as a reserve, like oil, when it's slow as it is. In the Industrial Revolution, they started collecting oil because oil was needed to operate the machines of the industry. So it's an asset. And when you're looking at an industry now that is basically facing, the real internet money, I don't know how you have to call it, era, AI, managed money, digital world we're living in, and you're looking at the oil that is going to fuel these machines, and you look at the industry and what it's built from, you're seeing Bitcoin as the centric player. Then the reserve they're building now, I believe, will only support the rise of Bitcoin and will support its price. And also, while holding a reserve, the assets are being reserved, which is great for us because it means that the assets that are already in the industry will start being collected by governments that are going to lock them and keep them as a reserve. So less supply, while they're going to have bigger demand on an asset that is limited by design to 21 million Bitcoins only. Then I think it's a great move. Volatility will probably be less volatile as we have it today in Bitcoin, due to that reason. And the rest of the industry, as long as we're going to be in this not house that we are today with paper hands dumping and not enough smart money to pick it up, we're going to face the same volatility we're having today in the rest of the industry.
Thank you, Tomer, so much for coming. That was really interesting conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure being with you today.
I think that was really eye-opening conversation. And I'm asking you to subscribe to see our next episodes. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.